I got too many new tech pieces here, Freddie, to make them all work together. That's the trick.
It sounds okay. It all sounds good. You are now recording, so
We're good to go? All right. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Let's rock and roll here. Today, Freddie and I are going to be discussing the hypnotic power of love, how we use the emotion and the principle of love in both of our work, and how it is one of the most transformational things that there is out there. Freddie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks. Yeah. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited to have this conversation because I've watched you use the power of love in your work through the years and seen, immediate and miraculous transformations a lot of times in the people you work with. And so I want to ask you, how did you come to discover, because most of the hypnosis training I've done doesn't tell you to use the hypnotic power of love like you do. And so it's really something that I've borrowed from you and I've adapted from you. How did you discover that the principle could change people so fast?
Well, back in the 1990s, I started doing group quit smoking. So I'd see as many people as can get in a conference room, which is pretty much about 200 people. So I was seeing groups of 200 people at a time. And even today, I'll still use it. But as a way of demonstrating the power of the mind, I would use what was then kind of magnetic fingers. And most hypnotherapy trainings show you that magnetic fingers. And that's okay, but that's kind of a physiological trick. Leave your fingers out long enough, the tendons tie, and they come together. But to move it to a hypnotic experience, which is what I call a finger lock, um, when I was doing group quit smoking and I did this, when they closed their eyes, I just asked everybody to think about the people they love. And I said, because they're there, that people who are smoking are killing themselves, aren't they? So I say, let that remind you of why you're here and what you're doing here today. And I'd see the lips go. Yeah, thinking about their children, thinking about their loved ones. And then I would suggest, and while you're thinking about that person you love, your fingers are stuck, they're locked together. And I would pretty much get 100% of those 200 people with their fingers locked. So whereas normally you might not get that amount of people following that instruction. So that kind of got me into it. And then looking into it and thinking about memory and how we memorize things. If we think about any kind of strong memory from our lives, there will be a strong emotional attachment to it. It might be, the moment you first saw your child, or the moment you first saw the person you spent the rest of your life with, or what, but it would, when you got married, or when you were graduating. But when you think about a powerful memory, there will always be a powerful emotion attached. So for me, when we're doing our work, what we're trying to do is we're trying to lock a thought into someone's mind, aren't we? A positive suggestion, as we would call it. So by attaching an emotion to it, for me, I just believe it sticks. So that's how I kind of got into that. And I've been using it ever since, and I've been teaching it as well. But not everyone picks up on it. And some people don't like to use it. But for me, even if that emotion is a painful emotion, think about a time when such and such happened. Either way, it's that moment when the mind opens up to that suggestion. I kind of think of it as when we first start out doing hypnosis, there's talk about the critical faculty, and a bit like the mind, it's what's a critical faculty. No one actually seen one or held one in their hand. And so, but I like to think of the critical faculty. If you think when we're children, we believe everything, so
Yes.
told there's Santa Claus, we just believe it because we don't know about lying at that, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. We don't know what lying is, and we don't know what flattery is or any of those other things that we defend ourselves against when we're older. But I think over those first like 16 years, nature has given us this protective kind of mechanism. I always think of it like a very tight wire mesh over your mind that protects us from lies and flattery and sales. But for whatever reason, when we create an emotion, I just think for a moment it kind of opens up and it allows those suggestions to go in. So that's how I see the power of emotion when it comes to doing our work, anyway.
And I think one of the principles you touched on early in that is to keep in mind the people that we love and other people, right? Because we do things for ourselves. We think about ourselves one way, and I know you've said this before. It's, would you quit smoking for yourself? Maybe, maybe not. What if it was going to kill your child? Would you quit smoking? And it would be like an instant 100%. Of course, I would quit smoking. And so it's that meaning in the people that we love. I think a lot of times people just don't connect that motivation and the meaning to that context. And so I think that's what you do. And I think what we really do when we bring forth the feelings of love is we're almost sending light through the neural networks that are linked to that emotion. And that's what our recent recording is about. The heart mirror is we're lighting up the neural networks associated with those loving emotions. And that provides neuropeptides into the brain. And I think those are the building blocks of those emotions. And I think what happens is those are like the building blocks for our brain synapses and our myelination and our neural pathways. And so as soon as you release those, it's almost like we're putting them to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But, I'm not a scientist like you are. I tend to be a lot simpler than that. I just think for me, if I can create, and that's what I do, many people here have experienced it. I want every one of my clients. I'm not just saying, some, it doesn't matter what the client's there for. I want them to experience a feeling of unconditional self-love. And the reason I do that is because why would you bother to stop smoking or lose weight or treat yourself better or be kinder to yourself unless you feel that? And so as you were saying earlier, when we connect that to if someone understands their worth and their value, and then you say, when you compare that to their children, so I say, would you want your child smoking? Would you want your child doing this drug? Would you want someone speaking to your child like this? And if the answer is no, then why would you have that happen to yourself? So my way of kind of looking at things maybe a little bit different, but it's the same strategy, but it's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I think also as hypnotists and coaches and speakers, whatever your role is, even influencing any people, I think it's important to keep in mind that the thing that people want the most, more than money, more than status, they just want to be loved and accepted. And so I think what happens is people, when they feel that working with someone like you or, a coach or a therapist, when they feel like they're loved and accepted, it opens them up to change. And I think what happens early on in life is we're exposed to parents and friends and media, and people start to develop these strategies in order to get loved. They believe that love is conditional. And so they develop all these strategies and these neuroses around who they have to be in order to get love. And so I think that's why most people come to us, because they're running these patterns from when they were a child. I have to be funny. I have to achieve. I have to stay out of the way, or nothing I did was ever good enough. And I think that those are the subconscious programs about how they get love. And I think the transfer, this is what spiritual growth is moving from how do I get loved and accepted into being the source of love. And so I think what you're doing with clients is you're showing them how much they love others. And it's taking that focus for a moment off of how they get love. Because most of us, again, are running this fear strategy, trying to get other people to like and accept us, when at the end of the day, all spiritual growth and all of our fulfillment and our emotional health is based on us giving love to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for years now about this. One of my favorite songs is a song called Nature Boy. So you'll have heard it. It's been sung by many people. I think it started with Nat King Cole, and then Ewan McGregor sang it in Moulin Rouge. So, it's one of my favorite songs. And there's a line in it, because it says there was a boy, a very, very strange, enchanted boy, and he traveled, blah, blah, blah. But he said the greatest thing we can ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And really, I think that is the bottom line. You know, we're all looking to love and feel love and be loved. So you know, because you've been in my, been in my training, but when I say to my students, because it's so easy to get caught up in the words and the techniques and the protocols, I say, you know, hold this in your heart. I care about you and I want you to be well, even if you don't say it, because I think we're always thinking it, because we don't come into this work, you know, for any other reason, because we want to make a difference. I think that's what it is. But we sometimes get caught up in the technique and the words instead of thinking, acting like a human being. And so even if you feel it's legitimate to say it to your client, say it. You know, I care about you. I want you to be well. But if you're holding it in your heart, then I believe everything you say and everything that comes across with that understanding. And so, you know, that's why I think the power of love is important in what we do. I think I might have said to you, I had a guy came to see me once, and came to one of my group quit smoking things, and he sat at the back and he read a newspaper, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, "I can see this is a good way of making money." This is what he said to me. He said, "I'm not interested in helping people. Teach me the words and the music, and I'll go and do it." So his wife was there. She said, "You're missing a point," and he was, because when someone's in hypnosis, I think a lot of people think that hypnosis, you're kind of asleep and you don't know what's going on. The opposite actually occurs. Your senses are heightened. So even if in a conscious waking state, I could convince you of something, you know, something that's not true. In a hypnotic state, you'd pick up the slightest things in my language and I wouldn't be effective. That's my belief when it comes to hypnosis. So I think how you are feeling about your client, what your expectations are and your intentions for your client are massively important in how effective we are. And I think, as I said, that's missing a lot of training. And I think that's where, if you're going to do this work and do it well, I think we should all be looking to come from there, from that you talk about the heart space, you know, from coming. And that's, I've got to say it while we're here and talking. That's why when you suggested we work together, that's why I wanted to work with you, because I know that's where you're coming from. So yeah, it's vitally important for me to get my clients to understand their worth and their value that goes beyond the car they drive, the clothes they wear, the house they live in, to get an understanding of their true worth, you know, and get into that feeling of unconditional self-love. Because then you're more likely to look after yourself, which is ultimately what we want, don't we? So yeah.
Yes. And Freddie, that
Tell me
was
more. Tell me more about the strategies that, you know, because you're much better at describing that, and you know how we come to the strategies we use to try and get love, and why that affects us, you know, in our everyday life when we're not running those strategies properly.
all right. I'll get there in one moment. I want to add on to what you said about, you know, because I think so many hypnotists come to us and they're like, I'm just not confident working with clients. And I think this little frame shift can change everything. So when you make it about you, when you make it about, oh, is this going to work? Am I going to look stupid? You know, what's going to happen if they don't think I'm professional? When you make it about you, you get anxious and you start to close down a little bit. When your focus is on your client and how much you care about them and how much you want them to succeed, then it's not about you anymore. And it's like your whole nervous system can relax. You can use your subconscious resources and you can help someone transform their life, which you couldn't do in a state of going inward. Does that make sense? And so Freddie, when I watch you work, it's total, like you're absorbed in the other person. You know, you're not in your head about it. And so I think that's what makes one of the things that makes you so powerful. So you asked me about these strategies for getting love. And I put a post on my Facebook wall today about this woman I met at the seminar years ago. And it was, I won't name the seminar, but many of you have probably heard of it. And so I was talking with her after day 2, and she was telling me how, you know, she just never felt confident. She never felt like she was enough. And so I started thinking, and this was before I was even a hypnotist. And I asked her, you know, I said, well, you know, who did you have to be for your parents? And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you know, who was the parent that you wanted their approval the most? And she said, my dad. And I said, what did you have to do to get your dad's approval? And she thought for a minute and she said, nothing that I ever did got his approval. And so I had this like aha moment of she's running the strategy she had at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, where she believed that nothing she did was good enough. And so that strategy of I'm trying to get love, nothing I do is ever good enough, that belief carried with her entire life. And so many of us, we have strategies to get love that are based on those programs from 4, 5, 6, 7, on up. And a lot of it's humor. If you farted and your family laughed, like pretty soon you think it's funny to fart in front of people, which, in certain contexts may be okay. In certain ones, probably not. If your parents praised you for eating, oh, he's such a good boy, he's in the clean plate club, right? Anybody hear that? If your parents gave you love for eating, you're going to be a big eater. That's the strategy that sets into these neural pathways, because remember, Freddie, these are emotions getting released. Like, oh, I'm getting praised. What's happening here? Oh, I'm eating. Oh, okay. Well, I better be a big eater. Maybe like people just learn to stay out of the way. Some people, maybe people learn they have to be an achiever. And so what happens is that generalizes into their whole life, and they think I have to achieve or I'm not going to be good enough. And listen, there's nothing wrong with achieving. That's great. The problem is when it's this like compulsive drive and tension to go achieve, and then you achieve, and at the end of the day, you're like, well, that didn't fill the hole. I got to go achieve again. And it's this never ending loop, all because people are running a strategy believing they're going to get love some way. And so I think my process that I love to lead people through is, how can we take that person from seeking love externally to being the source of their own love for themselves and their family? And so I think that's a big part of the work that we do is showing people how to love themselves again, and showing people the subconscious programs underneath that they don't even know we're running that are preventing them from feeling that self-love.
I think, I don't know, maybe it's an English thing, but, you're not supposed to love yourself. In fact, we use it as a detrimental term. Oh, look at him. He loves himself. Look at her. She loves herself. What we should be saying is how wonderful. He loves himself. How incredible. She loves herself. But, so we're told from kids that we shouldn't be loving ourselves. We shouldn't be putting our heads up. We shouldn't be proud of stuff. So many of us anyway. I'm not saying everyone does. Some kids are lucky enough to be shown their worth and their value. But I know, we put a little thing out on the our Facebook group, the blink and delete technique. I believe I put that out the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first did that and first created it, a friend of mine, I ran a group. Some of the people here were in it, creating a body health and happiness group, which I ran for a couple of years. And a friend of mine was on that group, and she said to me, said your energy was off, and I'm not really into that energy stuff. I'm much more woo woo than I used to be, trust me. But I used to think, what's all that about? Anyway, she said your energy's off, and I said, well, can you tell me what you mean? She said, no. I thought, well, that's some kind of friend. So she said, so eventually she said, I think whether you're doing it consciously or not, you're creating a kind of a reliance on you, because it's gone on for 2 years and people are losing weight, people are creating a body they want. She said, and I wasn't sure whether that was true or not. So I asked myself the question, why is that? What is that all about? And the answer came back pretty clear to me. And I'm only saying this because what you were saying earlier, that I needed approval. And so, I'm 70, I still need people's approval. So I thought, that's not an attractive trait. So I went in and checked out, which I know we can help our clients do as well. I just asked the question, I did the blink and delete thing. When did I make that decision that I need approval? And I immediately went to 4 years old, and I immediately went to where I was there with my dad. And he died this year, actually, just after Christmas. He was 97. And I don't think he ever approved of me, to be honest with you. But what I'm saying is, like, I tried my whole life to and without knowing it, so we do have these strategies for wanting people to like us and love us and whatever else. And I went to the group, and I know some of you, some of the group are here, and they would have heard me say it, and I said to them, the next week, next time we met up, I said, look, I really appreciate you being here, but I don't need I don't need you to be here. Which is a hard thing to say. And it's a hard thing to say to someone you love as well, that I don't need you. And I appreciate your love and I love you, but I don't need your love. And so it might sound harsh if you say that to your partner. But what you're actually saying is you're in my life because I appreciate you being in my life, not because I need you in my life. In fact, I say to all my clients, I say to everyone, the moment you say you need something, you're in trouble. There's a difference between thinking I'm getting home at 6 o'clock and I fancy a glass of wine than saying I need a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's different with saying I love you rather than I need you. There's a big difference. So that was a big moment for me. And
The
I think,
difference, the difference, Freddie, is a condition, right? You need something in return. Therefore, that love becomes conditional.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I think if ever you need someone to give you something in return in order to feel a certain way, your love is not unconditional. And when you can see someone and just love them and want the best for them, no matter what they do to you, because somebody not giving you love is never about you, right? If a parent doesn't give a child love, it's never because of the child. It's because the parent doesn't accept love for themselves. And so they can't share what they don't have. And so
I'm not sure. I was a pretty horrible little kid.
that's karma. That's karma for your parents.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So but even acting out can be a cry for love and attention, right? Like I tell this story. I dated this girl who her dad wasn't around and he was always working. And so she learned to throw fits to get his attention. And, as a 3-year-old trying to get attention from your dad, it works. As a 25-year-old woman trying to date, it's not a good look, right? It's not a good strategy. And so we learn those things, even
throwing yourself on the floor in a supermarket. Right? No, it's not good. Not at 25.
At 25. No, that's not a good thing. So I think it's, and what you said about, you're still doing the work. I never want to come on here and think everyone to think that I have it figured out because I have ego. I like approval. I'm here as well because I'm still working through these layers every single day and things come up and I'm like, why did I say that? Why did I need that from somebody? So we're always doing the work. I don't know that that's going to stop. I think, as humans, it's accepting that and continuing to find a deeper level of unconditional love and just removing the conditions. And again, it's never about you. If someone's not giving you love, it's not because of you. It's because of their own stuff. And if you love them in return, you're free. You're free from needing anything from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I get there's so much attached to different kinds of love, and it's love for your kids, love for your partner, and all the things that go with it. It's very difficult to keep in a space of unconditional, because even in relationships, it's hard to get away from that kind of ownership stuff that goes on. She's my girlfriend, he's my husband. It's difficult to get away from even the words. So to be in that space where you can you're there because you appreciate being in it, it's a difficult space for most people to hold. But if you can find it, and we can find it, then it's an awesome space to be in.
Yes.
That's what I want for all my clients. And that's why, finding yourself and knowing that you are okay as a human being. And I think it's what you're talking about. That if you're not being loved, then it's not to do with you. If you're holding your own space, if you know who you are and you're okay with that, and if you're not, then then you have to ask the question, am I not okay with that because of how other people judge me? And again, one of the things I want for everyone in this group and everyone that steps onto our path is to get to a point where we can completely drop all judgment and the fear of being judged, because along with the fear of failure, the fear of being judged is the next one up there in the categories of big phobias. So, but it's not an easy space to find, and it's not an easy space to hold, but we can. And if we can hold it, which is, what we're going to be working towards over while we're working together, helping people to get to that space. And it comes down to that, knowing that you are okay, you're good enough. If you're trying to strive to be perfect, that's never going to happen. But I think if we say, I live my life, I try and live my life. I'm not a religious person. I try and live my life kindly. I try and do my best. I'm a man, so that kind of negates a lot of my bad behavior as far as I'm concerned. That just goes along with the territory. But I try and be kind, and I try and be the best person I can be, and that's all we can do. And say, I'm good enough. And once we get to that space, and as I said, it's taken me a long time. I hope you find it a lot quicker than me, but it takes a long time to feel in and go, you know what, I'm okay. I'm okay as I am. And people, like I've said to you before, some people get me, some people don't. I can't chase after all those people going, I'm really okay. I'm really all right. No, I can't be doing it. So if we live our best lives, then, and then go, okay, that's okay. That's good enough.
And Freddie, no one ever told me that was the goal. Like I was going through life and I didn't even know the goal was to just find more and more unconditional love. And so once I was like, oh, that's what I should be doing, over the last few years, it's just been layers of releasing and just finding this place where I can meet someone, need nothing from them, love them, and no matter what they do to me, I'm good. And it's this place of total freedom. And we can start wrapping up here in a minute, but I just wanted to share one last idea, is that I believe that our body is a vessel for energy. And we even use the words like, I'm stuck, right? What does that mean? It means energy's not flowing through you. And so I think love, we're just this vessel, this channel for love. And we're not meant to fill ourselves up with it, right? That if you ever see a puddle of water, it's stagnant. But if you see a river, it's flowing and it's clean. And so the idea is you let love in and then you give it, you receive and you give, and you're this open channel. And I think it relaxes the nervous system. I think it gives you those good feeling emotions more often. I think people are healthier when they're in a state of love. And so I think the whole goal is to become that open pipeline. And in order to do that, you have to keep giving it. You have to give it away. And when you give it away with conditions, that's when it drains you. When you give it away with no conditions, that's when you continue to fill up.
Well, I think I was saying to someone the other day, love is the one thing that you cannot give away without getting more back. It's an impossibility. And talking about being a channel, just quickly on this, I had a friend years ago, I haven't seen her in a very long time. She's a spiritual healer and she does brilliant work. And she wouldn't charge because she said, it's not me, it's spirit. And people asked me what she was like. And the only way I could describe this lady was that when you were with her, and I've only met a handful of people in my life like it, when you were with her, you felt like you were in the presence of somebody good. And she was doing, I went and did a presentation she was teaching people how to be spiritual healers. And I thought at the time, only going by Diane, the woman I'm talking about, that I think we all have that healing ability. What the majority of us don't have is the complete freedom from all malice, all negative emotion. Because I think for that, like you were saying, for that energy to flow through us, whether it's healing energy or whatever that energy might be, we have to totally free ourselves from any of those negative emotions, anger, frustration, malice, hate, any of that stuff. Because if you've got any of that stuff in you, then you're not going to get that flow through. That's why I say when you were with Diane, the only way you could describe her was that you were in the presence of somebody good. There was nothing, there was no side to her. There was no what you got from her, what she was. And it's not an easy thing to do. We would like to think we do it because we live in a world of frustration, don't we? People frustrate us, make us angry. But to be able to recognize when we're in that and then let go of it and just go, okay, I'm going to go to that space of neutral, as I call it. So yeah.
I think this is one hang up I have sometimes with NLP, is that people get so caught up in these different language patterns and these different strategies, and they miss that you have to have your heart and your intention in it. And it's like, you could use all these strategies all you want, but without this, without this piece in it, it's worthless. It's temporary. It might not work at all. And I think, that's a piece that a lot of trainings are missing. So if you're a hypnotist or a coach, remember that emotion of having unconditional love for yourself and your clients will start to get you results and attract the right people.
When we talk about language patterns and all the clever stuff that goes along with that, we got to remember that only 7% of our communications are the words we speak. So if every therapist out there got that into their head, then they'd be more effective. Instead of thinking that you're saying these words in a clever way and it's a spell of some kind. It's okay to have scripts in hypnosis when we start out, but don't read them like they're a spell. It's what your intention behind those words are that are massively important. And to be able to get people into a state of unconditional self-love, you have to find it yourself. It's like so many other things in our therapy world. We definitely have to be perfect, but we do have to continue to work towards being our best self and asking the questions about what are holding us back, where are we stuck, what is it that's holding us back. So what we want for everyone here tonight, and everyone that's going to fall on our path as long as we're walking the same path, is that somewhere along that path, they're going to find that space of unconditional self-love. That's what I want anyway, more than anything else.
Well said. And on that, we'll wrap it up. Freddie, it was awesome chatting with you today, and there's so much more to come.
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you again.
You too. All right. Okay, cool. So let's do a 2 or 3 minute bio break real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll get rolling on some hypno. How's that sound?
Yeah, I was just going to put the recording off if I can. I'll see it.
That's why we do 2 of these things, even if it takes a little time to get set up.
Okay.
So I shared a little bit about my creative process on, I think I did an Instagram post earlier today. So what we do is we come up with, what do we want to talk about? What's our theme? And then basically wait till the last minute, and my subconscious mind gives me the answers and what we're going to, some of the format, and we both have a subconscious library. So I just allow the subconscious mind to deliver what it wants me to tell you today. And so today I had this insight about meaning. And so the meaning that we give things shapes our life. So if you had a rough childhood and you gave it a meaning, let's say someone was abused and they gave it a meaning that I'm a victim, I'm worthless, or I have to put up this really tough outer layer. Well, that meaning will generalize into the rest of their life. They'll bring that with them into every area. And so it's those meanings that we carry with us that shape our filters of the world. And I'm going to prove to you that there's no way that you could possibly know what something means. These meanings, like Freddie said, are often automatically generated by that 5-year-old or that 4-year-old. And we accept them as truth, but they're not truth. Not only are they not truth, we cannot know if they're true or not. And so I'll explain what I mean here. So I'm going to tell you this little parable. So there was this farmer in ancient China, and he lived in this rural village. And one day his son left the gate open and their horse ran away. And so the farmer walks outside, sees the horse is gone. The neighbor comes over and says, "Oh, your horse ran away. How unlucky." And the farmer kind of shrugs and says, "Maybe." And he goes back inside. The next day, he leaves the gate open just in case the horse comes back. The next day, 7 horses show up in the corral. He walks out, shuts the gate, and now he's got 7 horses instead of 1. And the neighbor comes over and says, "Wow, that is incredibly lucky. You must feel so lucky." And the farmer just shrugs and says, "Maybe." And the next day, the sun goes out again, and he's breaking the horse, and he's, you know, trying to train and ride this horse, and he gets bucked off, and he falls and he breaks his arm. And so again, the neighbor comes over and says, wow, that is really unlucky. And the farmer says, maybe. And the following day, the conscription officers from the local provincial army come by to recruit all of the men who are fighting age. And of course, the son was fighting age. So they walked into the house, they saw him with a broken arm and a cast on his arm, and then they left because they have no use for a man with a broken arm. And so the neighbor comes over again and he says, wow, that is incredibly lucky. And the farmer says, maybe. And so I want you to think about, in your life, where in the story did you latch onto that you're still holding on? Because the thing is, that farmer couldn't see the next step. He couldn't see the results of each of those steps. But if he would have given meaning to them, he would have been stuck with that meaning for the rest of that story. And so I want you to consider, most of us have this childhood experience where our horse runs away and we miss the whole rest of the story. We're looking through the world through this filter of, how unlucky am I that my horse ran away? And we miss every step of the process. And when I say you can't know what things mean, what I mean is you don't have a perspective of the whole story. This world, I believe, is built that within each hardship is a lesson and a gift. And so if you're caught up in the hardship, you don't have the perspective to see the whole story. Does this make sense? And so I think what we do, like I've been stuck for a while in this, I work through my own stuff as well, in this, like, oh, I have a broken arm. And that's the part of the story I've kind of been in. Like, the childhood stuff, the first horse running away, that's fine. But like, oh, I have this broken arm. And I've been missing the blessing of an opportunity because of that. And so we're going to do a little process here. We're going to go look at some meanings and decisions that you made. Now with the understanding that meaning doesn't have to be true. In fact, you can't even know if it was true because you don't know where in the story you are. Does this make sense to everybody? Good. I don't see any comments. So we're going to do a little process here. And yeah, so you guys can kind of get situated. This shouldn't take too long. I see some of you look like you're already in a deep trance, but I can't be sure. I better put gallery view on here so I can see everybody. All right, so if you want to get comfortable and get situated, we're going to take a little journey inside. And I want you to just take a moment and you can put a hand on your heart. You can do like a prayer hands mudra. You can just kind of tap that heart space and just breathe into it. Just bring your awareness into that heart space. And as you breathe into it, notice the energy of that heart space expanding. And I want you to notice the energy of it moving up into your brain, almost like there's a cord, that golden cord connecting your heart, connecting both hemispheres of your brain, feeling the energy radiate out with every breath. And in a moment, in that heart space, I'm going to have you start to picture some of the people that you love. And each person you picture is going to create this energetic aura that's going to surround you. And so I want you to picture that first person, just someone that you love unconditionally. There's no need to get anything in return for them. You just love them and you want the best for them. And see their face in your heart. And imagine your aura filling with the color, like a ball of energy around you, with whatever color that is for you. Continue to breathe in. and see the face of another person that you love. Or it could be a pet, a child, a grandparent, someone that you love and admire. And feel that ball of energy expanding around you, brighter and stronger. And see the face of a friend or a mentor you've had along the way. Someone that's been there for you, that's believed in you. Someone that loved you unconditionally. And receive that and expand that aura even more, bigger and brighter, like this ball of love that surrounds you. Like a protective layer. And imagine that you're a channel for that love, that it's coming down through your head, through your heart. It's filling you. And imagine sending that love to any area of your life that needs it. Any problem you need solved. There's no need to find a solution. Just send love to it and let it resolve. In a moment, not yet, but in a moment, with this ball of energy surrounding you and protecting you, you're going to find yourself in a theater of the mind, to take you back and show you some of those moments where you've made meaning and made decisions in your life. And imagine yourself comfortably seated in that movie theater chair, safe, relaxed, filled with that feeling of love. And the screen is yours to make bigger or smaller, brighter or darker as you see fit throughout this process. If something's too intense, just move it off into the distance and make it dark. But in a moment, I'm going to snap my fingers and on the screen or in your mind's eye, or maybe you'll feel it or you'll know, I want to take you back to a time where you made a meaning about who you had to be in order to get love. And there's no need for conscious effort. You can just allow that memory to come forward now. And see it play on that screen off in the distance, where unconsciously you made a decision about who you had to be in order to be loved. See it, know it. And now that you know that that meaning doesn't have to be true, I want you to make a new decision or a new meaning. Or do the blink and delete technique and just delete that decision. Because it's all in our imagination anyway. And now you know there's nothing that you need to do to feel and experience love, that you are love. You're the source of love. And in a moment, I'm going to snap my fingers. And again, another memory of when you made a decision where you found a strategy for how to get loved and accepted. And that memory will come up. You'll see it or hear it or know it now. And notice what the decision or what the meaning that you made was at that time. And from this beautiful and evolved, educated, loving person, what do you want it to mean now? What's the gift in that life circumstance? What's the hidden blessing? What is the meaning that serves you on a higher level that you hadn't noticed before? And let that new decision and that new meaning sink into your nervous system. And we're going to do one more. In a moment, I'll snap my fingers. One more time when you made a meaning, an important meaning about how you can get loved and accepted, will come forward. And let that happen now. Maybe you see it on the screen, maybe you hear it, maybe you just know it. Allow that memory to come forward. Who did you have to be, or what did you have to do in order to get loved? And knowing now that it's impossible to really know the meaning of that, decide on a new meaning. Make a new decision. That you are loved, that you can feel and give love for no reason at all. And notice how much better that feels. And take a moment and bless those three circumstances, those three meanings that you made at the time, that now from a higher, more evolved perspective, you've integrated into your nervous system in a different way. You've made new meanings, and see those new meanings ripple out into the rest of your life. In your relationships, in your business, in your body. You are a powerful meaning maker. And you've made these new meanings for those people that you love. And with that strong emotion of love and these new meanings setting into your nervous system with new behaviors, new attitudes, new perspectives, you can take a moment, allow those to integrate fully, as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. Coming back whenever you're ready to hang out with me and Freddie. Taking that time to just integrate, feeling into your body, maybe wiggling your toes or your fingers, feeling more energy, feeling more alive, more awake, more aware, more full of life, and looking forward to what is to come. All right, how's everybody doing? See some smiles. Diana's happy over there. Couple comments, very nice. That was amazing. Thank you. Who would like to share first? Freddie, you're not sleeping on me, are you?
I'm here. Can you not see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, I'm here. I've just come out of it myself, so
I see that.
it takes me a little bit longer to get back.
I'm jarring you back into the world here. Let me see. All right, so we had some good experiences there. So, Freddie, I think you're gonna wrap it up and knock out anything that might be remaining and bring our nice little time together to a conclusion.
I'm just going to take everybody into a beautiful space and leave you. You're already in a beautiful space. You already looked at the meaning you've made of things, and know you can change it. And know that none of this exists outside of your skull, except as perception. Everything that we see and think we are is nothing more than perception. So for me, it's very easy for me. When it comes to beliefs, I just ask the question, does this belief serve me or not? Because if it doesn't, I can change that belief. I can choose to believe something else. I'm going to take you into a space just before we go. It's not going to take very long. A beautiful space, and leave you in this beautiful space, knowing that you are loved and you are loved and you are loving. It's the reason most of you, and if most of you are here are therapists, although some of you may not be, it's the reason you do what you do, because you are loving and you do want to make a difference. And sometimes we've just got to remember, we all have to do it because we all beat ourselves up. I do it all the time. That you know, you are doing your best in the world and you are giving something back. You have to remind yourself every now and again, it's easy to forget your worth and your value. So I'm going to take you to that space quickly, and we're going to have it's a beautiful little thing I call laughter, gratitude, and love. You're going to get into it with me. So everyone ready to do this for the next 5-10 minutes, yeah? Millie's under a blanket, she's ready to go. Right, okay. So what you ought to do, if you're ready to do this, just get yourself comfortable, make sure you're in a comfortable position and you're safe. And when you're ready to do this, just take a breath in. You know how to do this now. Just take a breath in, hold it for a moment, and as you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. But only as quickly as you're ready to feel into this feeling of laughter, gratitude, and love. Okay? And I just spotlight myself. That's right. And for a moment, focus on those muscles around your eyes and allow your eyes to relax so completely they just won't work. Get a sense of that happening automatically. Every word I say relaxes those muscles more and more. And once again, think about the people you love, people that love you, the people you've helped with your words, your kindness, and your love. And as you feel into that feeling of love, your eyes relax so completely now they just won't work for a while. And when you realize your eyes are so relaxed they just won't work, you can test them, find it completely locked just for a while. That's right. Now, nothing bothers or affects you, nothing disturbs you. All that matters now is you, the sound of my voice, an experience of that unconditional self-love. Every word I say now just takes you deeper and deeper. Get a sense of that happening, just dropping down through space and time, down toward that place of total bliss. Imagine it's happening automatically and there's nothing you can do about that. 10, 20, 100 times deeper. And just when you think you've reached that ultimate space of trance and profound hypnosis, my voice, my words are going to take you 10 times deeper. Every word I say doubles that feeling. Everything I say now is your reality. Every suggestion I give you, your mind and body will act upon. Without hesitation is now your reality. And as you drift into that wonderful space, I want you just for a moment to think about a moment of gratitude for someone, something that you felt gratitude for. Maybe just a beautiful morning, just being alive, but a moment of gratitude. Think about it now and step into that moment of gratitude and feel into it. Just get a feeling of what that felt like, to feel that feeling of gratitude. And when you absolutely feel it through every cell, every fiber, and I want you to do this physically, I want you to reach up with your right hand like you're reaching up for the stars. Reach up with your right hand and grasp that feeling of gratitude. Do it now and pull it into your heart center and feel your heart expanding. Put your left hand over your right hand and feel your heart expanding with that feeling of gratitude. That's right. Let your heart expand with that wonderful feeling of gratitude. Now think of a moment of pure laughter, a time when you just laughed and laughed. That wonderful belly laugh, that unconscious, uncontrollable laughter. Think of a moment now and see yourself in that moment. Step into that moment of laughter and feel into it again. Get a sense of what it feels like. How lucky are we to be able to experience that feeling of laughter and feel into it now? And when you absolutely feel it, once again, reach up with your right hand. Do it now. Reach up with your right hand. Grasp that feeling of laughter and pull it into your heart center. Put your left hand over your hand and feel your heart expanding now with that feeling of gratitude and laughter. How incredible are you? You are loved, you are loved, and you are loving. Feel that feeling spreading through your body. Now think of a moment of pure, unconditional love for someone, something, maybe your pet, the way your pet loves you, your dog loves you, your cat loves you, maybe the way your kids or your partner loves you, or your grandfather loves you, or your mother or father. But feel into that feeling now of unconditional love. Feel into it. Remember where you were. Step into that moment of unconditional love. And when you absolutely feel it through every cell, every fiber, once again, reach up with that right hand like you're reaching for the stars. Grasp that feeling of love, that unconditional love. Pull it into your heart center. Put your left hand over your right hand and feel your heart expanding with that wonderful feeling now of gratitude, laughter, and love. Everything you are as a human being, to be able to feel gratitude, to be able to laugh, to be able to love. How incredible are you? Feel your heart expanding. And in that feeling, allow yourself that moment of unconditional self-love and know you are worthy of it. Because you are loved, you are loved, and you are loving. And the core of your being, the essence of who you are, is pure energy, light, and love. Feel that spreading through your body into every cell, every fiber now. And notice as your body is flooded with that incredible feeling of gratitude, laughter, and love, that every limitation has gone from your mind and body, because it cannot coexist in your mind and body with that feeling of laughter and gratitude and love. Feel it now. And this feeling is going to stay with you, and it's going to grow stronger as you set about your life, creating the life that you truly want by continuing to help others create the life they want. How incredible are you? Know that you are worthy of this wonderful feeling and take it into everything you do. And as you go about your day, think of the meaning you've placed on things throughout your life and look at it from where you are now and change the meaning if it no longer serves you. You are loved, you are loved, and you are loving. In a moment, I'm going to count to 10. And every suggestion that Nick and I have given you, your mind and body will act upon. On 8, your eyes will open. You are going to feel incredible because you are incredible. And on 10, that feeling of gratitude, laughter, and love is going to grow stronger day by day as you allow yourself that feeling of unconditional self-love. You are worthy of it. Feel into it now. So get ready as I count to 10. On 8, your eyes will open. You are going to feel incredible. On 10, that wonderful feeling is going to grow stronger day by day. 1, feeling absolutely wonderful now. 2, to create that life you want and do it brilliantly. 3, a feeling of freedom from every limitation that was ever placed on you because they were never yours in the first place. 4, feel into the force of that unconditional love and laughter and gratitude. Feel it now. 5, feeling incredibly alive now. 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely wonderful. 9, 10. You are loved. You are loved. You are loving. Take it into everything you do. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, enjoyed the experience. It's great to see you. Great to see you all. And, keep an eye out for what we're doing here. And hopefully you're gonna be on this journey with us. Now you're on our path, so let's see where it takes us. But whatever you're doing, understand your worth and value in this, and look after yourselves. So often, and I've got to say it, I know there are men in this group, but so often I've seen women who spend so much time making sure that their man is okay and making sure their kids are okay, that somewhere along the line they drop out the equation. You need to every now and again, remind yourself of your own worth and be as kind to yourself as you are to the people you love. That's all I can say to you. Anyway, it's been great. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm going to hand back over to Nick.
We love you all, and we're so glad that you wanted to spend your evening or afternoon with us, depending on where you are. And we have a lot of fun doing this, if you can't tell. And, we're on a mission to spread these ideas and to help people open their hearts and command their minds, and instead of the other way around. It's been awesome having all of you here, and we'll hang out for a few minutes and chat. I think Freddie's got to probably go to sleep pretty soon, get some of that beauty sleep.
So I'm flying to New York tomorrow. It's my youngest son's 21st. So I'm taking him to America for the first time, and he's pretty excited about it. So if any of you are in New York, or you fancy a weekend in New York, book now. No, but if you're out there, just let us know. Maybe we can catch up. But yeah, so I've got to go to sleep at some point this year. I'm not sure when it's going to be. But yeah. Any questions? If you can answer them, I'll answer them.
Thank you, Nicky. Thank you, Freddie.
Hi, Trinity.
My pleasure. Great to see you.
Thank you. Have a great trip, Freddie.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Diana.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, great to see you, Chris. Okay.
So maybe both of you could address this, because I've seen it with lots of clients and I've seen it with myself. I tend to get stuck, and I've seen clients get stuck with the negative impact that the meaning they put on it, and they can't get beyond that into the greater meaning that thing had in their life.
My thinking on this, Mark, and I have to say, it's the way I work, I also think it's a problem for most therapies. Most therapies are focused, on the past. And as much as, I know I work in a different way to most people. And I will say to my clients, and I know it probably goes away against you, Mark, I appreciate it. But I say it may be interesting to know why you are like you are. But we have a tool called hypnosis that can move you from where you are to where you want to be very rapidly. And some years ago, across the road from me, there was a young guy. And he had his own taxi company. And by that, I mean he had one cab. But when he was younger, he got into drugs, and he was pretty heavy into drugs and everything else. And he was saying to me one day, we were talking, and he got off the drugs and he started doing karate. And he said he was at the dojo, and he was telling his sensei about these problems he had when he was a kid and all that stuff. And his teacher said to him, "It's okay to look back, but glance, don't stare." And I hold that as the way I work. It's okay to look back, but glance, don't stare. And most therapies are staring at the past and trying to figure out why we are like we are. For me, Mark, I have to tell you, there is only this moment, and this moment is so small, it's not even worth talking about. We live in a string of moments. Even what I've just said is now in the past. So we can keep looking back, or we can look at where we want to be. My thinking is, I have to say it, Mark, there is no point in keep looking back, because it's a void, it's a vacuum that stretches back to the Big Bang.
Right. So
nothing we can do about it, honestly. And we can get our clients to focus on the now. That's my thinking, Mark. So I know we disagree on this, but
I don't. I agree. I guess in relating to the technique that Nicholas was doing, it was deliberately to look back at past things. So in that context, if I'm going to use that technique, so I've done things like that, and I have clients, when they come out of trance, they say, "Well, when you did that, I got kind of stuck at this particular spot. So maybe it's more to you, Nicholas.
Yeah.
since
So
I'm
what,
sure
just,
you
just
can-
real simple answer, Mark. One thing that I would say, and you can ask your clients this is, are you ready to let go of the resentment that is stopping you from moving forward? Because I see a lot of times we look at our past and we feel so justified that we were right and that person was wrong. And until you get past that, until you just allow that to go and you totally forgive the situation, you're going to be pulling that like an anchor with you into the present. And I think if you can say to your clients, are you ready to really let go of that resentment and move forward now? I think you're going to see, you can watch their physiology and see how they respond and know the answer and see if they're hanging on to something or not.
So would you use that language then for a client who's made a negative meaning in their life? So I have one client, she's almost 70, tons of horrible things, and she doesn't have a lot of resentment. She actually has a lot of love, but she's made all these very dark meanings about her worthiness in life and her ability to actually ever be loved. So same thing.
Yeah. Well, I would say, yeah, go ahead, Freddie.
I think what we have to say is, as much as we carry that stuff with us, ultimately it was only ever someone's opinion about us. And everyone has a right, that's why I think now, everyone has a right to an opinion, but we don't have to agree with it. But yeah, well, I know what you're saying. There is that that resentment we get, and sometimes we could say it's justified for us to be angry or resentful about how someone treated us, or the way we were treated as children, or whatever it might be. But we can carry that with us. I just think that I see it all the time in the present, Mark, where people, they say, I've seen people who have stopped smoking, or they've lost weight, and then someone does something to them, and then they start smoking again, or they start overeating again. And my thinking is this, and I'm saying this because I was also looking at the past and the things that people have done to us in the past. I say the moment you go to put a piece of cake in your mouth, that might as well be that person that did that to you, even though they're gone from your life. Every time you go to you overeat, they're doing that to you. And it's the same if we're living with resentment and are living with limitations because of someone else's opinion, then we're still allowing them to affect us. At some point, we go, it's not happening anymore. And even if, and I know for a lot of people, and I've seen this from clients myself, and I say, have a look at it again. And we do this in minutes, not weeks. Have a look at it again. And if you have to, just say, I forgive you. And people have said, there's no way I can forgive that person for doing that. But even if you don't mean it, I know it sounds strange, say it, and then you can get on with your life. Because it's so, I understand we can be angry for 70 years. I understand that. But that person's life's wasted on someone else's opinion. I'm really harsh about this because, for me, the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist. If we're suffering from depression and all that stuff, then we're focusing on the past. And if we're suffering from anxiety, we're focused on the future. None of those things exist. There is this moment. We can look at how we are, and as Nick said, we can look at what it is and say, what's the meaning in that? And is it just, can I change that meaning? But you can do it in this moment. We can do it without spending years looking back. That's just my thinking on this, all right? I know it's different to how a lot of therapies work. And looking back is the backbone of most therapies, to be honest with you.
Well, Mark, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If they don't want to change if they don't want to change the meaning, or they don't want to change, then there's, we do what we can as therapists, but there's no reason to attach that, a meaning to you either. I think we do everything we can and we put our love into it. We see them as successful, and that's what we can do.
I think the hard thing, Mark, and I know you agree with me on this, is when someone sees their pain and their anger and their trauma, they see it at an identity level. This is just who I am. That's why it's so hard to shake people off their problem. When they feel into it at an identity level, I've often said I'd rather see someone for heroin addiction than someone who smokes those big cigars. You know,
Mm.
they're only smoking 3 of those big cigars a day because that's part of their identity. You know, when I'm successful, I'm going to smoke this big cigar. Take that away. It's like taking a dummy away from a kid, a soother away from a kid. You know, so, and it's the same with people with their trauma. They come to, you know, I'm just a traumatized person. Unless we can shake that away from their identity and recognize it's not them, it's not who they are, it's just a behavior, then it's very difficult to move it. So I would always start by looking at, are they, is this person, listen to their language, they're going to say it, you know, this is who I am. I truly hope, because you know, I know you care, and I know you care, and especially when you see someone who spent their whole life, 70 years old, suffering like that, it'd be so nice to shake her out of that. I know you've got the ability to do that, Mark, but you know, I do get passionate about this. I know I can't say it, but I do, because you know, I've seen so many people living in their past. All I'm waiting for in a moment, when my client sits down in front of me, I'm waiting for a moment to say, "What do you want?" That's what I'm looking for. What do you want? How do you want to be an hour from now? How do you want to be a year from now? That's what I'm looking for. And, you know, I don't want to be rude and say I'm not interested in your past, but glance, don't stare at it.
So I guess just for you, Nick, and then I don't want to take any more of your time. I don't know how many people are still in this conference. It feels to me like there's needs to be some wording in there when people get stuck. Because I personally got stuck with 3 relationships that didn't work out, nothing to do with me, but I took it all as it was me. And it took a lot of mental gymnastics in that session to like, oh, that's what I have to do. That's all. That's just my 2 cents here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can consider that. And I think, you know, people in our lives reflect either the energy that we bring or the things that we judge. And so I'm always assessing, you know, what are the people and the things in my life reflecting back to me. And so that's what I like to consider, something to maybe think about.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks again for coming, Mark. That might be my new slogan: glance, don't stare. Perfect. Got some familiar people in here. Hi, Sherry. Well, Freddie, what do you think? How'd it go?
I think you all enjoyed it, did you not?
I got pretty deep there. Yeah.
I wasn't sure they were hypnotized, I just fell asleep. I wasn't sure. Either way, I'm going to take it as a trance. Yeah. And I'm going to glance back at it and not stare at it, whatever happened. But look, just, you know, we have an opportunity to choose. Um, Knowing we have a choice is, you know, is the power really. But acting upon making those choices for ourselves and asking the questions, does it serve me or not? Is what I'm doing, you know, serving me or not? Because we have a choice.
And
I think a lot of people don't realize that.
and I think even the, you know, the blink and delete and what I did going into the past is really just bringing the unconscious conscious so we can go forward. You know, like that's us glancing, and our behavior is often driven by those meanings under the surface. And once we can bring them conscious, then we can decide again. And so a lot of the work that, you know, I feel like we do, or I do, is showing people what's under the hood, right? Like my email said today.
Well, you know, I think, you know, what we do as therapists, sometimes just asking a question, that, you know, asking a question that, like my friend asked me that question, and, you know, I must have been 70 when she asked me it. And it wasn't until then I realized, like Nick was saying, I've been running this pattern my whole life, you know, needing approval. I've run that my whole life. It might not have been, you know, obvious to everybody. It was obvious to my friends, and it wasn't obvious to me for all that time. And I'd have loved to have looked at that earlier on, but it wasn't till someone asked me that question And I think that's what happens for all of us in this therapy work. Sometimes we just ask the right question that gets that person to look at that problem in a different way. I was saying to someone today, when we got the stuffs going around in our head, it kind of makes sense. All of the monkey chatter that goes on in our brain, it makes sense when it's going around in our head. But when we speak it out and someone speaks it back to us, it sounds ridiculous. And I've had someone's, in therapy, someone said something to me, telling me about their life, and I just repeat it back to them. They go, well, when you say it sounds ridiculous. I say, because it always was. It's just in your head. Didn't sound too bad. So sometimes we just have to listen again, or even speak it out, and it bounce back at you and say, does that make sense outside of our own head? And very often you'll find it doesn't. It's just the repeated pattern that we've been running for so long. And none of it, everything about us, we can change. We can decide, does this behavior serve me? And we have an ability with hypnosis to get to the programming part of it. I think that's what hypnosis is different to most therapy. Because most therapy is working at a conscious level, and we can figure it out. Go, I know who I am like I am. And hopefully that cathartic moment in understanding why we're like we are might make a difference. And in most therapy, that's what we're looking for. They spend years doing it, looking for that cathartic moment. I'm saying that hypnosis enables us as hypnotists to help our client go directly to the piece of programming and change the program. And that's where we differ. And that's why it's so effective, and why we can move people from where they are to where they want to be. And that's my focus on whatever I do. And those people that have been in my groups and still in my groups, because I need your approval, Diane, Doreen. I need it. Stay in my groups. I don't need you, but I appreciate you all. You know that. So look, that's my thinking on this, and it's not everyone's thinking. And, we're all different, and how we're thinking, whatever gets our client to where they want to go is fine. My thinking is, let's do it in as quick a time as possible, rather than drag it out for years. That's just my thinking on this.
And, when we use this stuff on ourselves, it's incredible how fast, the emotional patterns can change, because something comes up and you're like, oh, what's that thing? Like, oh, like that's weird. And then you work on it, and, then you go to the next layer, and you unravel all these layers that used to hold you back. And pretty soon you can walk around with people and feel free and not worry about being judged, and relationships get better, and your business gets better, and life just gets better as you release those layers.
If you think about what we've been saying all the way through this, and these last two sessions about the power of emotion, you give an emotion, you give a suggestion, you elicit an emotion, give a suggestion. Well, how we can use this for ourselves is that as we go through our day, we go through many different changes in our emotions. Someone frustrates us, or makes us angry, or makes us laugh, or makes us smile. Either of those moments, and I'd like all of you to do it. I may have said this last time, but when we finish it, just write down 4 or 5 things that you would love to achieve or feel. Spiritual goal, emotional goal, career goal, financial goal, physical goal, but write them down. And any time you feel an emotional spike in your day, remember to say it to yourself. Just say it in your own head. Try not to say it out loud at the bus stop, otherwise you might get arrested. But just say to yourself, I want to feel like this, or I am like that. And then you don't have to go and sit in a dark corner to do self-hypnosis, when you understand that you can be upgrading all day long. Every time someone gives you spikes in emotion, you can give yourself that suggestion, and you'll find yourself changing without even knowing it. That's my tip for today. Freddie's tip for today. Do self-hypnosis while you're walking down the street, and try not to talk out loud at the bus stop. That's my second tip.
I love it. I love it. All right, Freddie, we got,
Okay.
we still got almost 30 people on. Yeah, it's been a great session. I think we're getting ready to sign off here. So any last words or thoughts?
And anything you want us to be working on as well. So any suggestions for, that's the thing that I'd love to work on. give us some ideas, and it might be, you know, something that we can put together for you. Because all of this is made up, as you probably know. We're making it up as we go along. And if you joined early enough, you'd have seen that even before we started, we were just figuring out what we're going to do tonight. Even though it seemed really professional, when it comes down to it, we're just making this stuff up as we go along.
We have to let our unconscious generate the experience. That's what we're doing, Freddie. It's not procrastination. We're unconsciously working on it.
Yeah, that's why I'm working with Nick. He has a really good way of explaining ourselves out of anything.
Yeah, I can do that pretty well. I can do that pretty well.
All right, look, it's been great. Are there any questions before we go? Any last questions? Any last requests? I've got my guitar here somewhere. Any last requests? No. Good.
Have a great time in New York, Freddie.
I will do. Thanks very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you both. It's been great.
Thanks for coming.
See you soon.
Yeah, hope so.
From New York City. When you get there, you got to have some pizza. You know that, right?
Can I have some more?
You got to have some pizza when you're in New York City. You know that, right?
I'm definitely going to have some pizza. Yeah. We're going to find a proper Italian restaurant somewhere.
No.
Oh, we don't need an Italian restaurant. Just a pizza.
Pizza place. Pizza place. Not a. If it looks fancy, if it looks really upscale, that is not where you get your pizza.
Right.
It's got to be a corner shop, right?
Shop, a place called Ray's. Ray's has the best pizza.
Okay.
It's great.
We're definitely going to be there. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the tip.
Euros on the side of the street from a little cart.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Amazing.
Sounds great to me.
Enjoy.
Thanks, Bear. Thanks for the help. All right. We'll see you all again soon.
Thanks. Bye. Bye-bye.
Great to see you. Nice to see you, Stephanie. Just recognized you from Las Vegas. Yeah. You good? Yeah, good. Excellent. Bye now. Bye, Diana. Casey was here. I didn't see her. Didn't see her on.
Yeah, I don't know if she had her picture up, but I saw her in there.
Oh, good.
I think our upload on the other one might be good already.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We're down to our last few stalwarts. I think that's what we call them. Yeah.
Stragglers. Yeah, Casey's. Oh, yeah, there she is. She's still here.
Yeah. Probably hasn't come out of trance yet. You know what she's like.
I think she's with a client, actually. I think she's with a client.
All right.
I think that content style beforehand is good because we can repurpose that a few ways.
I think people enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Freddie, Scott's the one that edited the audio.
Yeah. That's good.
He was helping me edit that. So
all right. Right. Yeah. Great. People loved it. Yeah.
He's on. All right. I think we're all set. If you want to
log off
if you want to load up that recording,
as soon as it will load up. As soon as you switch off, it'll load up.
Okay.
Right. And I'll send it to you.
All right. Cool. Anything you need from me? You have a couple nice days of vacation, and we'll chat when you get back.
Okay. I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
You know, let's have your chapter.
I'm done. I just got to figure out what stays and what goes. So that's all. That's where we're at still. So
there's still a few people, stragglers. I'm waiting for Anthony of all people.
I figured.
There's a few other people.
So as long as I beat him, I'm okay, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to get it done. I've got this beautiful picture. I'll show you. The lady's done. A friend of mine's done the cover. It's a proper new piece of art. You know, it's not AI or anything. She's done it. Spent so much time on it. It's beautiful. And that's going to be the cover. So we've got to get that done. So it won't be before Christmas, that's for sure. So you've got a bit more time. All right.
It's funny. My whole chapter's on mental rehearsal and going forward. You know, there's nothing about the back, like the past at all. So it's about creating that new identity in the future. So kind of funny of, you know, what I went over tonight, but
Yeah, and you're taking so long over getting this. Is it all pre-rehearsal stuff? Is it the chapter? When this is just when is it going to be finished, or are you just going to stay in that pre-rehearsal place or wherever it was?
yeah, I'm pre-forming it before I ever send it to you.
Yeah.
No, at some point it's time to perform, so I'll send it to you soon.
That'd be great.
All right,
Yeah.
my friend.
All
Awesome
right.
to see you.
I'll log
We'll
off.
we'll
Thanks
chat
everyone
soon.
for coming. To those who are still here, I'll see you soon. Take care.